Pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by advertising such notice in the Home News Tribune, the Asbury Park Press, the board office, the schools, and on Cablevision Channel 118, Verizon Fios Channel 24, and by filing such notice with the Township Clerk. This meeting was scheduled for Tuesday, March 21st, 2023. The board will take formal action on payment of bills and other items. Mr. Merritt.
Thank you, Mr. Giordano. The Old Bridge Township Board of Education acknowledges that the law of this state establishes that members of the public, including members of the board, have the right to record public board meetings using audio or video recording devices, provided that that act of recording does not interfere with the business of this public board meeting. Therefore, the board makes it known that any such recording is to be considered the private recording of the individual and in no manner represents the official record of this board. The board therefore takes no responsibility for such private recording and completely disavows any future use.
Roll call.
Ms. D'Antono?
Present.
Ms. Jodry?
Present.
Ms. Lent?
Present.
Mr. Marquetta? Mr. Slade? Mr. Singh? Mr. Silikowski?
Present.
Mr. Weber? Mr. Giordano?
Here.
Quorum exists.
Rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Code of Ethics Corner Highlight of the Month. The board member will recognize that authority rests with the Board of Education and make no personal promises nor take any private action that may compromise the board. Okay, and we will start with the approval of minutes. Can I have a motion?
Lent will move it. D'Antuno will second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Ms. D'Antono?
Yes.
Ms. Jodry?
Yes.
Ms. Lent?
Yes.
Mr. Silikowski?
Yes.
Mr. Weber? Mr. Giordano?
Yes.
Resolution 1 passes.
Now we have our report of student representative to the board.
Hello everyone. I would love to welcome everyone and share some new information about what has been going on this past month at Old Bridge High School. First, the Student Senate held their bingo night on March 14th with an attendance of 100 students competing for prizes. Student Senate and National Honor Society held the Senior of the Month Award for seniors to become recognized for what they have done in the classroom and outside the classroom. Our winners for the male Senior of the Month were AJ Silvestri, and for our female winner was Julia Resti. Again, congratulations to both for making Old Bridge High School proud. Recently, the Student Senate officially held their first sock drive, and it was a success. We collected over 500 pairs of socks. We'll be delivering them to the Hoboken shelter at the end of the week. Next week, March 29th, at 7:30 p.m., Senate is excited to present Brian Elslick's Comedy Hypnotist Show. Tickets will go on sale this week for $10, and tickets will be sold during all lunch periods. Next, our seniors had a very successful senior trip to Disney this month. Thanks to the cooperating students, helpful administration, and staff, it was a trip that the students in the senior class will never forget. Special thank you to the class of 2023 advisors, Ms. Mackey and Ms. Chiz, for making this trip possible. The school play is back. Something Rotten will be available to everyone this week, starting this Thursday in the auditorium at 7 p.m. and continuing until Saturday. Tickets are on sale for $10. In the month of March, we've been able to witness greatness throughout our sports program like never before. Cheerleading won 2 state titles in one weekend. They won 1 state title in the traditional and another in the game day category. Congratulations again to the coaches and cheerleaders for this historic achievement. Talking about state championships, wrestling had their first ever state champion, Logan Roman. Logan Roman won his first state championship in the 113-pound weight class, making a huge statement for Old Bridge Wrestling. Congratulations again to the wrestling staff and team for celebrating this huge achievement together with Logan. Overall, in the month of March, we see what our students at Old Bridge High School can do in the classroom and outside to show how strong Old Bridge really is. We are always proud of every student and try to recognize them for their hard work and dedication to Old Bridge.
Thank you. Now we will move on to a very exciting recognition. Mr. Cedino?
First, before I go to dais, I want to just commend Joe. You're doing an outstanding job with this student report. In a one fell swoop, you stole the thunder from a senator, an athletic director, and a superintendent, and you did a great job doing it. So,
Sorry.
great job, Joe. At this time, can I have the members of the Old Bridge High School Junior Air Force ROTC report to the front of the stage? And may I have Colonel Doolittle join me at the dais? Board President Giordano, can you join me, please? I'm going to have Board President Giordano present you, Colonel Doolittle, with this plaque as I read the recognition. Move the board to recognize the cadets of the Old Bridge High School Air Force Junior ROTC as they are known for their dedication to nation and community. Locally, we have witnessed their unwavering commitment to service at events like Old Bridge Day, Veterans Day, the Tunnel to Towers event, and many other community-based endeavors. To date, these young men and women have compiled over 2,800 hours of civic service, helping the greater Old Bridge community during the current school year. Over the last several years, Old Bridge High School Air Force ROTC has become the largest single provider to the food bank of Middlesex County. This year, the cadets have contributed to over 7,300 pounds of food to the food bank. This is a testament to their dedication to the Air Force core value of service before self. The cadets have brought great credit upon themselves and the Old Bridge High School community. The cadets who are present today were the leaders in the amount of food collected and donated and deserve special recognition as representatives of the Air Force Junior ROTC program. With us today, we have Chloe Cardenas, Janvi Patel, Danny Kim, Malali Kuklal, Rihanna Henry, Ose Kuse, Brielle Thomas, Dmitry Milanopoulos, Zoe Milanopoulos, Isabella Pelezi, Kevin Rodriguez, Hannah Hayen, Julian Ivan, Justin Ray, William Vapididis, Alvin Kajak, Zachary Wilson, Cheyenne Kazar, Asha Prasad, and Alan Tarazan. I just want to have a special recognition, just say that as a kid growing up, my grandfather served in his career in the Air Force. So it has always been a special when we have the ROTC out here, because I do see all the great work that they do. In Old Bridge School District, we have a slogan that our students go on to give us a source of local pride and global pride, and these students will continue to do that, whether it's the work they do locally throughout the course of this school year. Many of them will serve in the military, many of them will go on to universities, and many of them will join our much-needed workforce here locally. And whatever their endeavors, we know that they're always going to be a beacon of pride and hope for our school community. So thank you to them. One last thing I do want to present you with, Colonel Doolittle. Because of the work your group does so much for the food bank, I'm presenting you with $200 in gift cards from Acme, where you can bolster that number next year.
Great. Thank you very much. They'll
You're
be
welcome.
Well used.
Round of applause.
Thank you, sir.
Please join them at the dais for a picture. We have a very special recognition of our winter sports accomplishments. For this, in which we're also very proud, I'm going to hand it over to our athletic director, Mr. Dan Domino.
Thank you, Mr. Cedino. Good evening. I'd like to start out by congratulating all winter sport athletes and families on an incredible season. Being able to successfully balance athletics, academics takes hard work, organization, and dedication. All these attributes will assist our student athletes in their future endeavors, and I'm incredibly proud to watch our athletes grow and develop while being part of our teams. Tonight, I would like to introduce and celebrate 3 athletic programs for winning their division, conference, state championships, or individual championships. First up is our varsity girls bowling team. Here to accept the award is Coach Fischetti and the varsity team. For the first time in school history, the team won the Red Division and Conference Championship. Also, congratulations to Coach Fischetti for being named GMC Red Division Coach of the Year. Thank you, girls. Next up, we have our varsity cheerleading team. Here to accept the award is Coach Coutinho and the varsity team. Congratulations on winning the GMC Red Division traditional routine, and for the first time in school history, winning both the game day and traditional state championship in the same season. Congratulations, ladies. Last, we have 2 individual wrestling awards. Receiving the first award is Tyler Sagi,
excuse me.
accompanied by head
Excuse
coach
me.
John Post.
Sorry, Mr. Domino.
Mr. Domino, just make sure they don't leave because they have another.
Yes,
one.
I already said that.
Okay.
Tyler, congratulations on being GMC champion, district champion, regional champion, and placing 4th at the NJSIA state championship in the 157-pound weight class. Tyler finished this season with a record of 42-3. Tyler ends his high school career with 137 wins, most in school history. Congratulations, Tyler. Receiving the second award is Logan Roman, who is also accompanied by head coach John Post. Logan, congratulations on becoming GMC champion, district champion, regional champion, and overall state champion at the NJSIA State Championship in the 113-pound weight class. Logan finished this season 45-1. Congratulations, Logan. Looking forward to a senior year as well. I'd also like to congratulate Coach Post, who's up here, for being named District Coach of the Year, Region Coach of the Year, and most recently, NJ.com GMC Coach of the Year. Congratulations.
Logan, can I ask a question? When you won, did you notice if the opposing parents broke their glasses at all? Okay.
I saw that.
If you know, you know.
Before I have Senator Thompson come up in closing, I just want to congratulate all of our winter coaches. Our coaches put in countless hours to make sure our athletes are prepared on and off the field or court. Their love for the sports they coach is evident in all the ways they go above and beyond for our schools and athletes. Win or lose, it is an honor to work with each and every one of them. Congratulations again. I can't wait to come back here in a couple of months to celebrate the spring. Senator.
I do have Senate resolutions to recognize the feats of some of your wonderful athletes and students. First, we have, whereas the Senate of the State of New Jersey is pleased to honor and salute the Old Bridge High School cheerleading team, greatly admired in the Garden State, in recognition of its outstanding athletic achievement. And whereas, demonstrating their extraordinary abilities and their unwavering commitment to excellence, the members of the Old Bridge High School cheerleading team wrote a new chapter in school history by becoming the only team to win first place in 2 state championship divisions in the same year. And whereas the remarkable Old Bridge High School cheerleading team took the titles in both the Games Day and traditional routine division, marking 6 state titles overall for the accomplished program since 2015. And whereas, under the superb guidance of their coaches, the dedicated members of the Old Bridge High School cheerleading team have instilled their community with tremendous sense of pride while establishing the highest standards of sportsmanship. And whereas New Jersey's young people who set their goals high, who persevere in the pursuit of those goals, and who reach their desired milestones and fulfill their objectives, stand as an example and an inspiration to their fellow citizens of all ages. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate of the State of New Jersey that this House hereby lauds the Old Bridge High School cheerleading team, pays tribute to its meritorious record of excellence and determination, and extends sincere best wishes for its continued success and vigor. And be it further resolved that a duly authenticated copy of this resolution, signed by the Senate President, attested by the Secretary, be transmitted to the Old Bridge High School cheerleading team. Signed, Nicholas Guattari, President of the Senate, Linda Metzger, Secretary of the Senate. So, somebody would like to come forward. We have a second resolution here. Whereas the Senate and State of New Jersey are pleased to salute Rogan Roman, an admired member of the Garden State community, in recognition of his extraordinary wrestling accomplishments. And whereas, demonstrating exceptional athleticism and an unwavering dedication to excellence, Logan Roman captured the individual state championship title for the 113-pound weight class at the 90th NJSIA wrestling tournament at Boardwalk Hall in Lang City. And whereas a student at Old Bridge High School, Logan Roman capped off an outstanding season by taking home the first individual state title gold medal in the modern history of his school since its merger in 1984 with Madison Central and Cedar Ridge. And whereas New Jersey's young people who set their goals high, who persevere in the pursuit of these goals, and who reach their desired milestone and fulfill their objectives stand as an example and an inspiration to the fellow citizens of all ages. And whereas it is altogether proper and fitting for the members of this House to acknowledge Logan Roman and to praise him as an individual of strong character and uncommon determination. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the State of New Jersey, State Senate of New Jersey, that this House hereby commends Logan Roman, pays tribute to his remarkable efforts and steadfast commitment to wrestling, and extends sincere best wishes for continued success in all of his future endeavors. And be it further resolved that a duly authenticated copy of this resolution, signed by the President and Senate and attested by the Secretary, be transmitted to Logan Roman. Logan?
Mr. Cedillo, before we continue, there's one more speaker for the cheerleaders.
Good evening, Superintendent Citadino and fellow board members. My name is Caroline Boyan, and I am the parent of one of our varsity cheerleaders. I come to you tonight and speak on behalf of our parents. We would first like to thank you for taking the time out to recognize the achievements of these athletes, making school history and winning 2 state titles. It is a tremendous achievement for both the girls and the coaches, and a proud moment for Old Bridge High School. We would also like to take a moment to acknowledge the coaches for their tireless efforts and giving up their own time to be with our girls nearly every day of the week. Not only do they support them as cheerleaders, but they care for them each individually, which is a true testament of their dedication. While the girls are being recognized tonight for their state championship wins, I would also like to take a moment to highlight some of the other achievements from this talented group of young ladies. For those that do not know, cheerleading is a 3-season sport. The girls begin with tryouts in May, and their season does not end until March. It is a sport that lends itself to 10 months out of the calendar year. In addition to their own competition schedule, the girls cheer at boys and girls basketball games, unified athletic games, pep rallies, and of course both home and away football games, even in inclement weather. They decorate lockers, make banners, posters, and show their support whenever it is asked of them. They practice anywhere from 4 to 5 times a week, maintain their schoolwork, and for some even an after-school job. To say they are dedicated to their coaches, team, school, and sport is an understatement. The financial costs of this sport can be grueling as well. Camp, uniforms, warm-up clothes, sneakers, and most importantly, travel expenses to competitions in and out of state are funded solely by the parents. This also includes covering the costs of for coaches and administrators to attend. Our township businesses are wonderful in supporting our fundraising events, but understandably can only do so much as there are other schools, clubs, and organizations in town. Therefore, we are respectfully coming to you tonight and asking for your consideration for a financial donation to cover the cost of the championship rings the girls will be receiving. It would be a nice gesture by the board and administration to acknowledge and recognize the dedication and success of this hardworking team after all they do for their school and community. Thank you.
Okay, can I have a motion to move these 2 resolutions?
Lent will move it.
Any discussion?
I'm just totally agree that they deserve it, but have we done it before? What's the precedent? I don't want to, I don't know what's been done in the past. Oh, wait, are we talking about the rings or something else?
It just is for the
Oh,
recognition.
never mind,
yeah.
disregard. Makes more sense.
With the ROTC is concerned, I'd like to thank Dana Bruno for bringing that to my attention. When I got the email and she was explaining all the things that the ROTC have done, Mr. Cedino and I agreed that they should be recognized. So thank you very much, and that's good that we got to recognize the ROTC and all of our athletic teams this meeting. Anyone else? Okay, roll call.
Ms. Jodry,
Yes.
Ms. Lent,
Yes.
Mr. Silikowski,
Yes.
Mr. Weber,
Yes.
Ms. D'Antono,
Yes.
Mr. Giordano.
Yes.
Resolutions 1 and 2 pass.
Moving on to our superintendent's report.
Mr. President, if you do recall, we had the superintendent's report last week in preparation for this week so that I could present both the calendar options, which the board will be voting on. That's the 2024-25 calendar option that you'll be voting on, and the community-generated strategic plan. The only thing I did want to touch upon during the superintendent's report is there's an ongoing question about the any unused emergency closure days for this current school year 22-23, and a lot of times parents talk about, it's good to have the communication early, it's good to have clear communication. I just want to point out, I don't know where the confusion comes from on this topic. Maybe it's because we're so fortunate this year that we haven't used them. It's been so long since we haven't used them that people aren't clear on how it works. The process is clearly in the center of the calendar. So if you look on the calendar on the district website, the one that the board voted on 2 years ago, it states right in the middle how the emergency days are used and how would they be, if we didn't use them, how would they be returned? It says right in the middle of the paragraph, and this year, right now, I just asked my secretary to bold it for everyone to read it. It says that any unused emergency closure days will be returned at the end of the school year, so that if we didn't use any of the 2 that are remaining, then the last day of school for the overall population would be Thursday, June the 15th. Now, I said last week, and to take into consideration that the Sandburg School still has to do 2 makeup days. One we've identified would be June 6th, which is a professional development day for staff, and the rest of the students are off. And they would have to come in Sandburg until at least the minimum of Friday the 16th and not come to school on Monday the June 19th. So those are the 2 days. It's mandatory that every student in New Jersey does 180 days of instruction. I cannot waive those. We did waive the 181st day that this district does. We do 1 more day than is the state minimum. The board did waive that. So at a minimum, the Sandburg students would have to come in until the Friday the 16th. And again, we would never amend the calendar and put the last day as now the 15th sitting here in the middle of March, because anything can happen. We've had times when April showers brought us flooding, and there could be schools that get flooded, or could be so much flooding that we'd have to have an emergency day in the middle of April. And if we amended the calendar at this date and put the last day of school is on June the 15th, and we had to add a day back, I'm sure a parent or 2 would call me and say, "Hell, once you made it the 15th, we made plans for Disney, so please excuse my child for the last day of school because you amended the calendar." So we don't amend the calendar. It's already approved as it needs to be. So any unused emergency closure days will come off the end of the calendar. So this way, go right up to the end. Of course, like a memo will come from the school district. Any days are if those 2 days go unused, reminding everyone that what the last day of school would be. The last day of school is traditionally early dismissal day, so you'd have that information. The June the 6th, which is the professional development day in which Sandburg students would have to attend, will be an early dismissal day for them because it is a professional development day, and that allows for their staff to report to any professional development they need as a full day for staff. And the 15th and the 16th will be early dismissal days for the Sandburg students and staff as well. I do want to ask that we've had some developments in the legislature around school funding and state aid. I'd like to have Mr. Mara just give a very general, brief update on that that happened very quickly over the weekend as Mr. Mara and myself were going back and forth with legislative updates and talking to our contacts that were in Trenton on that day.
I'll try to be as quick as possible with a long-term problem, but in 2019, S2 legislation was passed that created a new funding formula for all school districts. And when that funding formula was disclosed to all the districts in the state of New Jersey, we were vehemently opposed to it. We felt that it was unfair. In 2019, we were getting $44 million in state aid, and this upcoming year we'll only be getting $26 million. We've lost $18 million in state aid. During that same period, we've been able to maintain all the programs that we've had in the district without any significant cuts. But we continue to complain about the inequity of the funding formula. And just to give you one example, in 2019, East Brunswick was getting $18 million in state aid, and we were getting $44 million in state aid. Now East Brunswick is getting $40 million in state aid, and we're getting $26 million in state aid. So it's been grossly unfair. However, this year, the one piece of good news that we have is since the state aid numbers were distributed a few weeks ago, the legislature has gotten together and they have passed legislation they're in the process of passing legislation. It's not a done deal, where the $2 million of state aid that we lost for next year, we may get $1.3 million of additional state aid that was unanticipated and has not been included in the budget for next year. It has passed the Senate side of the legislature, 36-0. It has to pass the other side of the legislature and then be signed by the governor. We're not quite sure what strings will be attached to get that money, but there is certainly hope and potential that we may get an additional $1.3 million of state aid next year. Thank you.
That concludes the superintendent's report and progress towards goals.
Any correspondence?
Yes, can we just take a moment to, I know a lot of our students have probably some homework they have to do, so it would not be rude if you and or your parents wanted to go, but if you wanted to stay as part of your civic learning, you could stay as well.
Special committee reports. Okay, special committee. No, it was noisy, so any special committee reports?
Yes, we had a curriculum meeting, but I was not in attendance. I was ill. Is there, I believe Mr. Tui is here. Dr. Tui? Maybe he can give a small breakdown? Thank you. I put you on the spot, I'm sorry.
And with our TV studio cast, Ms. D'Antono's been advised that some people are having sound issues at home, so if you check on that, we'd appreciate it.
We had a curriculum meeting, I believe, at the end of February. And part of that meeting, we went over the new adoptions as part of the stabilization aid that we received. We are moving with, or proposing on this agenda to move with a new middle school ELA program. That's from McGraw-Hill. And also adopt a update of our 6 through 12 social studies program, which would provide us with the first new bevy of resources that we've had for social studies programs since 2000. So many moons ago. Additionally, Dr. Calandria did an update on the mental health services that are provided through the Tier 3 MTSS program. Ms. Doherty provided an overview of the ESY program, and there was an overview of the ESSER program and the dual enrollment program that was currently being implemented at the high school by Mrs. Sally Fazio. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tui.
And I also want to say some stuff about that dual enrollment, because that's what I ran on both times when I ran for the Board of Education. And I'd like to thank Ms. Fazio for making that a reality. Now everyone going into high school can take the credits necessary to get their associates essentially, and then graduate with their bachelor's 2 years after high school. And no tests required. You just have to get a C in the AP classes. So please take advantage of this if you're in middle school going to high school. Everyone that just left and the millions watching at home, please email me if you have any questions about any college credit classes. Do not be scammed by universities and college advisors that want to drag out your college education. Get it done as quick as possible, save money, and then you could party after all that. Thank you. Any other special committee reports?
Yes. So the newly named CARE, Community Awareness Relations and Engagement Committee, is having their meeting on Wednesday, March 29th. The flyer is online. We are asking people to RSVP so we know if we can fit in the conference room or if we have to move it to the high school. So students, staff, families, community members, we want to know how you're using the district website. What would be more user friendly? What do you look for when you're going on there? Things like that. So that is really what we're discussing. Again, 7 o'clock, March 29th, and RSVP if you can. Thanks.
Any other committee reports?
Can I just provide an
Mr.
update?
President, I'm just going to ask Dr. Hoker to give an update on personnel.
Thank you. Good evening. We currently have over 30 permanent positions to fill for the 2023-24 school year. We are participating in 4, possibly 5 job fairs, both in person and virtually. Our job postings are set up to go directly to colleges and universities, as well as being advertised on social media. In the board packet, there is a flyer that we share with all potential candidates, and it's included in our virtual job fair booth. The flyer includes highlights about our school district, as well as a code to access a video about our district and a direct link to our job openings and applicant tracking system. On March 15th, I was fortunate to attend the Monmouth University Job Fair, where Mrs. Courtney Lowry and I were able to meet briefly and interview over 25 candidates. These candidates were very well prepared, knowledgeable, and eager to begin their careers in education. Most of these candidates at this particular job fair were dual certified in elementary and special education. They were excited to hear about Old Bridge and the professional opportunities and support that we provide the staff. Old Bridge was one of the last districts at the event, with a line at our table till the very end. It was an exciting day and as we begin our search for new hires. Our second job fair is a virtual event on March 30th, run through the Central Jersey Program for Recruitment of Diverse Educators. This consortium has over 80 school districts participating, and last I checked, there were almost 400 applicants in the queue. On March 23rd, we begin reviewing resumes for that job fair. We have a team of 8 principals and supervisors that will be reviewing the resumes and then participating in the event on the 30th. I'm very optimistic that with our early outreach and our scheduled job fairs that we will fill our positions with high caliber candidates, and that they will be available in September to support our students as we move forward in the new school year. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or any special committee reports that were missed? Okay. Moving on, hearing of the residents on agenda items only. Okay. Oh, sorry, yep.
Good evening. I wanted to take a moment to congratulate all the dedicated staff members of Old Bridge whose pending retirements are on the agenda tonight. As the principal of Voorhees, I want to call attention to the fact that 3 extraordinary veteran teachers of Voorhees are on the agenda that will be retiring at the conclusion of the school year. They include Ms. Debbie McMillan, special education LLD teacher, who served Old Bridge for 41 years. Ms. Bernadette Romatowski, special education teacher who's retiring after 36 years. And Ms. Julie Olson, who served Old Bridge for 26 years. These 3 Voorhees teachers have a combined 103 years teaching in Old Bridge. These 3 outstanding educators are held in the highest regard by everyone around them. They are legends in the district, leaders in our school and an inspiration to their students. They are master teachers going out at the top of their professional game. And I'm so impressed that they bring their highest caliber to their job every day, even months before their retirement. Their shoes will be very tough to fill. However, those shoes have blazed a path that student teachers and novice educators that they have mentored will try to emulate. And they most certainly have lit a torch that inspired growth in learning in the thousands of students they have collectively taught over 103 combined years. I want to thank and congratulate Ms. McMillan, Ms. Romatowski, and Ms. Olson, as well as all the other retirees this evening on the agenda for all they've done for Voorhees and the children of Old Bridge.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Moving on to policy. Present for the first reading, the following bylaws and policies. Any questions or discussion? Okay. Curriculum and professional development, items 1 through 5. Can I have a motion?
D'Antuno will move.
Lent will second.
Any discussion?
I just need to add that you had one additional paper on your desk when you walked in for an additional professional development item. It's move the board approve the following workshop conference funded through ESEA Title II funds. These are grant-funded workshops for staff to turnkey the information to the additional staff.
Thank you. Any discussion on any of those items?
So, Mr. Giordano, the motion by Mrs. D'Antuono would reflect 1 through 6, including the addition.
Is that okay? Ms. Lunt? Okay. Okay. Any other discussion? Okay. Roll call.
Mr. Marqueta?
No.
Mr. Solikowski?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mr. Antono?
Yes.
Ms. Jodry?
Yes.
Ms. Lent?
Yes.
Mr. Giordano?
Yes.
Resolutions 1 through 6 pass.
Finance, items 1 through 9. Can I have a motion?
D'Antuno will move.
Lent will second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Solikowski?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mr. Antono?
Yes.
Ms. Jodry?
Yes.
Ms. Lent?
Yes.
Mr. Marqueta?
No.
Mr. Giordano?
Yes.
Resolutions 1 through 9 pass.
No resolutions under athletics. Non-certificated personnel office, items 1 and 2. I'll make the motion. Can I have a second?
Jodry will second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Solikowski?
Can I go back on that? There's a retirement in there.
Yes, yes. Yes, you can.
Okay, I'll read all the retirements. Thank you, Dr. Ferry, for reading the 3 from 4Es, but we have quite a few more. Okay, Joanne LaCava, Shara Para for 16 years. Michelle Theodore, Glenn Secretary. James Graham, Maintenance 33 years. Ines El Sherbini. If I mispronounce the name, I apologize. Noon hour supervisor. Deborah McMillan, Voorhees Special Ed. Rosemary Horowitz, 25 years. Sean Bensley, 20 years. Linda Bystrick, 27 years. It's Miller. Bernadette Romakowski, 36 years, Voorhees. And Julia Olson with 26 years at Voorhees. Total of 267 years. I corrected that. The board would like to thank all of you for all your service to the school system. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Roll call.
So we're on non-certificated personnel office, resolutions 1 and 2. Mr. Solikowski?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mr. Antono?
Yes.
Ms. Jodry?
Yes.
Ms. Lent,
Yes.
Mr. Marqueta,
Yes.
Mr. Giordano.
Yes.
Resolutions 1 and 2 pass.
Non-certificated personnel operational items 1 and 2. Can I have a motion?
Lent will move it.
Jody will second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Weber,
Yes.
Mr. Antono,
Yes.
Ms. Jodry,
Yes.
Ms. Lent,
Yes.
Mr. Marqueta,
Yes.
Mr. Giordano.
Yes.
Resolutions 1 and 2 pass. Mr. Silikowski, my apologies.
Yes.
Resolutions 1 and 2 pass.
Non-certificated personnel, other items 1 through 9. Can I have a motion?
D'Antuno will move.
I'll second. Any discussion? All right. Roll call.
Ms. D'Antono,
Yes.
Ms. Jodry,
Yes.
Ms. Lent,
Yes.
Mr. Marqueta,
Yes.
Mr. Silikowski,
Yes.
Mr. Weber,
Yes.
Mr. Giordano.
Yes.
Resolutions 1 through 9 pass.
Certificated personnel, items 1 through 10. I'll make the motion. Can I have a second?
Jody will second.
Any discussion? Okay. Roll call.
Ms. Jodry,
Yes.
Ms. Lent,
Yes.
Mr. Marqueta,
Yes.
Mr. Silikowski,
Yes.
Mr. Weber,
Yes.
Mr. Antono,
Yes.
Mr. Giordano.
Yes.
Resolutions 1 through 10 pass.
Non-certificated personnel transportation, items 1 and 2. Can I have a motion?
D'Antuno will move.
Lent will second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Ms. Lent,
Yes.
Mr. Marqueta,
Yes.
Mr. Silikowski,
Yes.
Mr. Weber,
Yes.
Mr. Antono,
Yes.
Ms. Jodry,
Yes.
Mr. Giordano.
Yes.
Resolutions 1 and 2 pass.
Transportation, items 1 through 3. Can I have a motion? Giordano motion.
Go ahead.
Second. Who wants a second?
Lent will second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Marqueta,
Yes.
Mr. Silikowski,
Yes.
Mr. Weber,
Yes.
Mr. Antono,
Yes.
Ms. Jodry,
Yes.
Ms. Lent,
Yes.
Mr. Giordano.
Yes.
Resolutions 1 through 3 pass.
Supplies, equipment, and services, items 1 through 6. Can I have a motion?
Lent will move it.
D'Antuno will second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Silikowski,
Yes.
Mr. Weber, Mr. Antono,
Yes.
Ms. Jodry,
Yes.
Ms. Lent,
Yes.
Mr. Marqueta,
Yes.
Mr. Giordano.
Yes.
Resolutions 1 through 6 pass.
Miscellaneous items 1 through 6. Can I have a motion?
Lent will move it.
Jody will second.
Any discussion? Okay, attachment E2, I didn't get a chance to look at it, but that's the option 1, correct? Pretty sure.
That is correct.
Any question? Oh, yeah, I also got an email that it wasn't posted or something.
Is Mr. Weber asking if there's a meeting in February, how come it's not listed here? Like personnel is, community relations, and finance?
Well, yeah, that too. Yeah.
What was the date, sir? 3/3, oh, it's March 3rd, so maybe that's why it's not on there. Okay.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Can we separate number 5 for voting?
Yes. But now I think we have to motion in a second again.
All right, so resolutions 1 through 4 and 6. Mr. Silikowski?
Yes.
Mr. Weber? Abstain. Mr. Antono?
Yes.
Ms. Jodry?
Yes.
Ms. Lent?
Yes.
Mr. Marqueta?
Abstain.
Mr. Giordano?
Yes.
So motions 1 through 4 and 6 pass. On resolution 5, Mr. Silikowski?
We're voting for 1 and 2, right? The calendar.
No, we're voting for item number 5, which is move the board approve the calendar for 24.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's option 1.
Okay, E.
So
Okay, option 1, number 1, I will vote yes for it.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mr. Antono?
No.
Ms. Jodry?
Yes.
Ms. Lent?
Yes.
Mr. Marqueta?
Yes.
Mr. Giordano?
Yes.
Resolution 5 passes.
No resolutions under board secretary and board business. We'll be moving on to hearing of residents on any school district issue.
Hello. Good evening. My name is Dr. Pushpinder Kaur. I'm a resident of Old Bridge and the mother of 2 preschool-age children. In following up on my comments from last week's meeting, I requested the Board of Education and Old Bridge Township Public School Administration to confirm if employees, both resident and non-resident, receive priority preference for tuition preschool over all other residents of Old Bridge. It was confirmed by Dr. Tui that preference to employee children, regardless of residency, has been provided since 2010 when the tuition program first began. Upon requesting a copy for the policy, which allows priority preference to both resident and non-resident employees for tuition preschool, Mr. Cittadino referenced New Jersey statutes annotated 18A 38-3, New Jersey Administration Code 6A 22-2.2, and Old Bridge Board Policy and Regulation 5111. After a thorough review, it was noted that none of these 3 policies address the allowance of priority preference to any applicant for the tuition preschool program in Old Bridge. In the absence of a policy granting priority preference to employees of Old Bridge Township Public Schools, regardless of their residency for the tuition preschool program, following a process which provides the limited seats available in tuition preschool initially to employees, both residents and non-residents, then subjecting non-employee residents of Old Bridge to a lottery for the very few leftover seats, followed by a mass disregard for special case scenarios, such as siblings of current preschool students with IEPs, is not fair or equitable, and is quite frankly gross negligence on the part of the administration. This process, which is not a policy, is rather an admin-led, self-serving rule that benefits employees of Old Bridge Township Public Schools over the residents of this district, and is not aligned with any of the 3 policies stated by the administration. I'm formally requesting the Board of Education to repeat the most recent preschool tuition lottery conducted for the 2023-2024 academic year, following approved policies only, including Old Bridge residents only, and excluding any and all unauthorized priority preferences. I'm formally requesting the Board of Education to review the procedures for the pre-K lottery, including who the decision makers are, how decisions are made, removing the ability for employees, both resident or non-resident, to be given preference outright from non-employee residents of Old Bridge, and updating the lottery application to remove not in Old Bridge option and to request proof of residency in Old Bridge. I also request the Board of Education to please provide me with a copy of the current policy for pre-K lottery. It is very concerning to me that children of this township are being denied seats in Old Bridge preschools while non-residents are being accepted due to the unapproved preferences currently being provided. Employees should be awarded incentives by respective districts for their valuable service. However, this should not occur at the expense of the education of our children. I believe there's no better way for the township, the Board of Education, and the Old Bridge Township Public School administrators to promote the concept of one Old Bridge other than providing all children of Old Bridge an equal and just chance for the tuition preschool lottery. Thank you and have a good night.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, moving on to old business and comments on that. Oh, unless.
Just a few comments on it, and I'll have Mr. Parton provide clarification for the board. From my understanding, the tuition enrollment in the preschool program for tuition-based students was initiated for employees of the district. That's when it started, the program, to get district employees back to work sooner after a maternity, so they could have their children here in district. There was an initiative to have a child care program within the community, and this spun out of that desire to have a child care program in the community. This goes back to Dr. Bosco, Ms. Oken, and I think Annette Hotman was the board member spearheading this operation back then. And so the past practices have stayed in place. There was reference that the way that students for the tuition preschool program are followed is not supported by board policy. It's a violation of board policy. I would just like Mr. Parton to comment on that portion of it.
Sure. The ability to permit staff members' children to attend any grade level, be it pre-K, 12th grade, or anything in between, is discretionary. It is authorized by the statutes that were just cited. There were the one statute and the one regulation, and it is expressly laid out in your policy 5111 and the regulation that implements that policy. So it is certainly consistent with your policy. It is not provided in the policy specifically what the lottery system is. That is subject to administrative discretion, and it has been implemented, as you correctly said, Mr. Cittadino, for 13 school years at this point. So it is all entirely consistent with law. It is certainly true that there are more applicants for your preschool than there are seats in your preschool, and that would be true no matter which preferences you set up. But there is certainly nothing illegal or contrary to your policies or the cited regulations and state statutes about the present system that you have.
Okay. And just as an update to the board, I have everyone is copied on my response. We are working to identify opportunities for any student who is a sibling of a student in the preschool program. Hopefully, some of the state aid that is being returned to us can be used in that fashion. We're working towards that, and I encourage the board to examine the policy and come up with a policy until we get to a universal pre-K program that supports the board's wishes and the community's wishes.
Is there a policy meeting on the calendar? Date, like a future date?
No.
We could set one up. 'Cause that's what I was just going to say.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
like, how do we go about getting one on the calendar? Because if this, if the residents want it discussed, I think we at least
Ordinarily,
ought
Mr. Slade would call for that as the policy chair, but in his absence, certainly the board president, if you want to ask the administration to set something up.
Yeah, and the comment I was going to make is any policy that you have questions on, or that you could probably ask us to change it, whatever we can, we'll see. But yeah, bring it up to us and we'll do our best. So,
Right, so we can converse,
we
we
can
can
make a
correspond
meeting.
with Mr. Slade when he gets back.
Or I could send him an email
Okay, yeah.
for when he wants to set up the meeting. Any other old business?
I just want to, Mr. asking us to review is 5111, that's what you're talking about?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's where the language about staff members, students, yes.
Thank you.
Any other old business? Any new business? Okay, we do not have executive sessions, so we will vote to adjourn now. Can I have a motion? Second.
Jodry seconds.
All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you for coming. Good night.